Safety Lieutenant Christopher Olivares. Lieutenant Olivares, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What do you think it's going to mean when you see Title 42 go away? Texas DPS is already working on a number of other problems on the southern border, like human smuggling, like drug smuggling coming in. Your thoughts on reversing Title 42 and what it will mean at the border?
Good morning, Maria. Again, thanks for having me on. So what we're going to see is complete chaos. I mean, we talked about this, I believe, last week when I was talking with you, and I had mentioned the numbers that we're already at well over 800,000 just for the first 5 months of the fiscal year, and now we're already going to hit 1 million after these 6 months are complete. That is just goes to show you that this border crisis continues to escalate compared to last year, when we thought last year were historic numbers and decades that we have never seen. We are on track right now. If the way we're going right now, by the end of this fiscal year, we're going to hit well over 2 million encounters along our southwest border.
That's unbelievable. You sent us this video that we want to show of Texas DPS officers rescuing a female immigrant. She was smuggled in a duffel bag from a vehicle fire. This is the kind of issues that you're dealing with all the time, finding people smuggled in cars, in vans, but this was a duffel bag?
Right, Maria. So this is what our men and women of DPS are dealing with on a daily basis with these human smugglers. And because of this border crisis, ever since last year, the human smuggling organizations are continuing to profit off of this crisis, and they're continuing to escalate their tactics, especially how they smuggle illegal immigrants. This is an example right here where they're smuggling a female immigrant inside a duffel bag. The driver fled on foot. He left the vehicle behind. As you can see in your video there, the vehicle was caught on fire. And of course, our men and women sprung into action, and they were able to rescue that female before she was burned inside that vehicle. So it goes to show you the tactics that are being used by these organizations, and now they have no regard for public safety. And that's the whole purpose why the state of Texas is having to step in because of all these events that we're seeing play out throughout the year: human smuggling, drug smuggling, even people that are being victimized, the loss of life that we're seeing because of this border crisis.
Yeah, and now Fox Business is learning explosive new details, Chris, about how the administration is preparing for this expected surge of migrants once Title 42 is lifted. A U.S. Customs and Border Patrol source telling us that the White House is plotting to expedite screenings of migrants, potentially skipping out of critical paperwork and vetting before turning them loose. Lieutenant, what is the story here? The migrants come in, they are processed, and then they're just released into the community?
Well, that's what we're seeing right now, Maria. Right now, I'm actually in Eagle Pass, Texas, where we're starting to see a very significant influx of illegal immigrants coming across in this specific sector right here. And because of that, because of the overcrowding in the Border Patrol processing facilities, the vast majority of these migrants that are coming across are being released into the communities, or they're taken to a local convenience store to buy a bus ticket, and then they're able to board a bus and ultimately go to wherever they're trying to get to, whatever destination they're trying to get to. And that's a very key point right there, that the majority of these individuals, especially the drugs that are coming in, fentanyl that's coming through our borders, is not staying in the state of Texas. It's going out through the entire country. And that's what the American people need to understand, that this border crisis is affecting everyone. And it's only going to get worse, especially when Title 42 is completely canceled. We're going to see double, triple the numbers than what we're seeing right now.
So that's what I want to ask you about the drugs coming in. I have not heard President Biden mention the word fentanyl once. And we've had 100,000 overdose deaths as a result of fentanyl coming through the ports of entry and coming through that border that you're at right now. What is the answer to stopping this illicit narcotic from coming into this country and killing Americans? And I know that it's made in China. We don't know if the president has ever brought it up to Xi Jinping. Why are they making fentanyl in China and trafficking it through Mexico into the United States?
Right, and those are conversations that the federal government needs to have. They need to put more pressure, because we know the precursors for fentanyl is being exported into Mexico, and the Mexican drug cartels are using those chemicals to process this very lethal drug, also with counterfeit pills that are killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. And that's a very good point right there, bringing up as far as why is the federal government not addressing this issue, this fentanyl crisis that we're seeing. And that is why, again, going back to what the state of Texas is doing, that's the whole purpose why Governor Abbott launched Operation Lone Star, is to crack down on these criminal organizations, the drugs. Our men and women have seized over 1,200 pounds of fentanyl. That's over 300 million lethal doses. That's just on the state side. That's not even including what our federal partners have seized. So this is a very lethal crisis that's going on right now. Something needs to be done about this situation as far as addressing the issue with fentanyl and protecting the American people from these criminal organizations that are manufacturing this drug.
So far, it's you and your colleagues at Operation Lone Star who are protecting Texas, the border, and America. Real quick, Lieutenant, before you go, I've got to get your take on the number of terrorists coming in. Marsha Blackburn's office told me last year they encountered at least 34 people who were on the terrorist watch list. Is there any way to quantify if you're seeing the bad guys and gals coming in through the border?
Well, our men and women are encountering these individuals that are coming across our borders. The Border Patrol is encountering them, and that's another issue too. That there's no transparency from the federal government in regards to suspected terrorists that are crossing our borders. That is a dangerous threat to national security.
Wow, it sure is. Christopher Olivares, great to see you. Thanks very much for your help on all of this. Lieutenant Christopher Olivares is at the Texas border right now. We'll be right back.